You doing, sir? Yes, indeed. It's me again. And yeah, Liquid versus Direwolves. Bound to be an interesting one, as you said. Team Liquid, not with the greatest of starts. We haven't seen this bad of a start from them in quite some time, and might be right on the edge of getting grouped, actually, which this wouldn't be the first time it's happened to them in SI. Last time it was in 2020. That's all the way back when Sexy Cake was still on the team, as it was actually Nesk, Sexy Cake, Palu, PSK, and Maranga. Haven't seen that squad in quite some time. This new team, they were on a tear in 2022, but it looks like 2023 might be the downfall of Team Liquid again.
We'll have to wait and see, of course, see if they're able to recenter themselves after the past few days of games and get prepared for this one, which should, in theory, be one of the easier ones in their group. But at the same time, with Direwolves struggling similarly, we don't know how exactly things are going to pan out. Bans have been completed. No real surprises here as far as I am concerned. And if you guys have been watching the rest of the tournament, I doubt you will be as well. We've seen plenty of Nook play, especially here on Chalet. Same can be said for our two defending operators, and Ying has quite a bit of usefulness on execute for this map, so everything pretty much makes perfect sense.
Yes, indeed. We've been seeing so much Solus and Azami as well on the defensive side, both in their own regard. A lot of teams picking and choosing which one they want to remove per map. Some teams just opting to ban out both when it comes down to it. One team finds one of the ops is really annoying, and the other one obviously feels the same about the other when it comes to the map. We've been seeing, obviously, Mira work her way in. We've seen a couple of random sprinkles. You know, we've seen Smoke Ban, actually, here as well, but that one hasn't been opted for as much as in recent history. So it's just changing times for Siege, you know? Looks like the tide's down, and time for a new year. So into this one here. We're going to get the side switched on the top. Direwolves and Team Liquid. Liquid will be starting things out on offense. They're not going to have access to that Nook or Ying, so the execute utility will dwindle just a tad bit. So is their ability to sneak up on their opponent.
Not going to be the end of the world, though. Certainly plenty of workability still on that attacking side, especially, of course, since we introduced a repick a little under, a year ago now. Away from that, though, he's looking like the Jackal is going to be mainly used to try and suss out the early roam game here from Direwolves. The success to which that will have is still yet to be seen. As usual, the defenders do have quite a bit of prowess to extend out, especially from those upstairs positions here. Direwolves even playing it out into the basement, it looks like, to some extent as well here, with one of their members trying to roam about, counter things out, as we do see the alibi gets spotted out there by Askstrone. So trying to set up a rotation angle to counter it out, but it doesn't look like he's got the right read on that one. The alibi, I believe, playing closer towards the front stairs instead of those back blue ones that he's trying to position himself for.
It'll be a patience game for him. We know Liquid's good for that. Working these drones around the top floor. Fantastic positioning here in Solarium. You seeing this, John? Up there on these wooden beams. Able to get another one. Wow, so precise off the windows, but not precise in the parkour. They're going to lose that one. Palu will pick up a kill. Not going to really have anything to do with the drone, but oh, the G36C is coming alive for Team Liquid at the moment. Looks like today might be the day. Woken up on the right side of the bed.
Harambe now going to try to make another play work out here for Direwolves. Finally get them on the board in this defensive end, but resets once more, strikes down another one of his teammates. Harambe himself now down for the count. Jackie Wu, all that remains here inside of the 1vx. He's not going to be long for this world either. It's a flawless start from Team Liquid. That'll put some confident looks on their faces here, having everything click for round number one. No issues at all showing up for our attacking squad.
Easy pickings for Team Liquid. The drone game obviously working out there. Lots of influence initially over towards Solarium that we saw, but that's really not where all the action was going down. We saw a lot of that over towards the garage and fire side of the building. It was a firestorm from Team Liquid on that one as they doused out Direwolves very quickly there for round one. Round two already on the docket and in motion. And have the Dokkaebi here for recess. Just going to keep things going here. See if they can potentially clear the building out as successfully as they did prior.
Things looking good. Now the changeup needs to come from the Direwolves side of things. We're going to see some small operator changes that would be necessitated by the site change anyway here as they move over to Bar and Stock for their second attempt. Away from that one, or just Bar in this case. My site's confused. We've got some similar names from time to time there. Let's calling it back over towards Clubhouse. But either way, Direwolves trying to deny some more of that drone intel with the Mozzie pickup here. The Frostbats, of course, making their usual appearance. It is Chalet, after all. It's a fitting operator for this map, especially when you consider the climate. And even looking away from that usual assortment of defenders, aside from that mainly utility mitigation, and of course the castle to try and block out some of these walls, make it a bit more annoying for Liquid to move across, especially, of course, with Buck being the main soft breacher so far this event. Sledge kind of moving out of the meta a bit does increase the proficiency of Castle.
Yes, indeed. Makes it a little bit more difficult to try and move up on those barricades. Have to try and bring some more ranged utility, and that's also been difficult to work in. A lot of teams opting for Ashe nowadays when it comes to that. We've been seeing some squads run Zofia still. She's still very potent when it comes down to her utility. It's just the quick movement that you're looking for on the entry game. Being a 3 armor just slows you down just enough where it can be a little bit of a problem. Plus, your footsteps are just so very loud, so everything you do is telestrated. Not exactly what you want in such a position. Looks like we're going to have the ace get used on the bar stock area. Smartest thing Liquid can do here, have influence on that back room. It's so hard to bunker bust that when you don't get influence over that wall.
That's with the slow creep, working his way up through the main basement stairs now. With the wraparound, see plenty of drones already having scouted this area out, so full control pretty much of the kitchen and trophy side already guaranteed for the players on Team Liquid, but it's Jackie Wu with the wild hop out over here, and the wild run to try and get back inside. The barricade's not even gone yet. Leaves the window open for a trade by Lagonis. He'll be able to pick that up without too much of a problem because of the distraction from Jackie Wu on the windowsill there. 1-1 exchange brings us down to a 4v4 here, just past the halfway mark on the round.
Yeah, Direwolves almost angry that Team Liquid hadn't fought them yet in the round. As Jackie Wu throws himself outside of the library balcony and quickly dispatches Ask. It's going to be the buck down, but still a lot of time, and Liquid loves to play the game of Siege like this. If they're able to delay things down and try and use their utility inside the last like 45, 30 seconds, just get a really, really big execute off, then that's more than likely what they're going to go for. Still have grenades in Nesk's pocket as well. Not going to have the logic bombs for resets, but don't think they're going to need them. Might have the ISO'd player here upstairs. Nobody going to be playing the blue shield either, so Nesk, he's just got free reign over his positioning here. Entire library wall is reinforced, doesn't have any angles to worry about, has a player on the window. Oh, but they haven't checked inside of library. They didn't check the little hidey hole where everybody hides. Direwolves are going to get away with a free one on Nesk.
Souffle picks up one for free, rotates back over to the connector downstairs. A hard bunker will be this connector here, so it's going to be difficult for Team Liquid to try and press Souffle out of that now. Unless they push it directly, of course, which really, they won't have a choice. They'll have to go for this now with the next few seconds. Flash dumps are in. That is going to prompt the repositioning, but one of the walls is soft, so it's an easy wraparound for Souffle to take the next flight. There we go, down to the ground to make it happen instead. And the re-peek, 3 kills is not out of the equation, but Palu, he's going to make a comeback here. Picks up that one and another exchange against Harambe as well. Into the 2v2, though. Where's that plant? We just don't see it. And as a result, Direwolves end up winning it on the timer.
What an awkward round there from Team Liquid. They had everything necessary in order to execute properly onto the site.
If you can get that double kill too, to like negotiate for positioning in those final few seconds, but just not confident enough in their plan.
Yeah, just a little gun shy there. Tends to happen, especially how their last couple of days have went. You're focusing a little bit more, even if you're, trying to keep the emotions suppressed. Mainly focusing on trying to not lose. So looks like we're gonna have a tech timeout here, folks, just for a moment. Have a little bit of a bug that we need to fix up. Nothing round ending, nothing round changing, just something that happened in between. So we're gonna get that fixed, and then we'll be back in for round 3.
You guys know how it is. Someone's headphones or mouse or something like that. So
something bugged.
Yep, should be a quick fix. We are re-hosting the lobby, so just stick with us here about 2 minutes or so. If you want to grab a drink or something, this is probably a good time to do that here. We'll be hopping back into the game pretty quickly, but you've got a minute or two here. And once again, we can talk about what we have seen so far, aside from that one. Liquid putting out a definitive stance on round number 1, of course, but Direwolves giving just as even of a response on the second one, mainly due to the exploits of Souffle. They're starting out in library, but then repositioning down to the connector as well, wasting out that critical 15 or 20 of the final 30 seconds in that round there, making it impossible for Liquid to get that plant down in time.
I will definitely give it to him on the shots and the angle work, taking that fight upstairs inside of library, because that was really his last-ditch effort, right? If he lets Nesk pressure him there, more than likely dies. So, but past that, Liquid really need to know what's going on in a location like that before they push in. You don't want to just go in there and try and face check things. It's not exactly going to work out for you, as we noticed. Even for somebody like Nesk, one of the best players in the entire world, and he still can't get it figured out at the back of Library. So Team Liquid might need to slow things down just for that split second. Get a drone in there. Also, your Yana, use the clone if you need to. I mean, that's why these utilities exist. So some of the fundamentals escaping Liquid at the moment, but hopefully able to work that out here after this tech timeout. As for Direwolves, got a round under their belt on the defensive side of Chalet, which overall has been a pretty crazy thing this entire tournament. Chalet, for over the last year, John, has been in an offensive-sided map, sitting down like the 40% for the defensive win rate. Some sites as low as like the high 20% initially when the map did come into play. But now we're seeing it skyrocket to a defensive win rate of almost 65% some of the time. It's absolutely absurd.
Definitely the case, and it's going to be interesting to see how those stats continue to evolve throughout, obviously, not only the rest of the group stage, but the rest of the event as well. Money, folks, we still have a whole week plus of action remaining at SI. Not including, or including, I guess I could say, those of you that will be joining us once we move on to the playoff stage starting next Friday. But of course, we'll be moving into our bracket stage starting, that'll be Monday when things get started there. So we have a lot more interesting things to talk about once we move into that one as well. Our teams that managed to make it through the group stage here will have their opportunity to stay in the tournament and forge their way forward into that grand final. We'll have the opportunity to lift the hammer next Sunday. I believe we have restarted the game, folks, so should be jumping into it in just a second here. Once more, we thank you for your patience. We're trying to get ourselves back into the matchup here. These things tend to happen from time to time, but I believe we are good to go now. So into round 3, we will be returning, currently tied 1-1 if you're just joining us, between Team Liquid and the Direwolves on Chalet.
All right, we'll see if everything is right as rain. Let me get in the lobby, and once we do that, I'll have it back on your guys' screen. So, bomb in hand for Lagonis. It's going to be a Habana, Dokkaebi, Yana, Twitch, Ash lineup for Liquid. Wow, that's a big change up from what we've been seeing. That is quite aggressive.
A bit more direct.
Yeah, yeah.
Even in the hard breach department, you could say that. With the Habana pickup here, just going for the gunner's gun, you could say. Like,
they're like, wait, we need hard breach. Habana, yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah, it's either that or ace.
Yeah.
Nobody takes thermite for the gun.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, somebody's tweeting at me on that one, for sure.
I'm the tweeter.
I'm the tweeter. It's me on my alt account, Sam. Oh my gosh.
I am the 556 boy.
Well, I mean, they brought the ace in, but they've also brought some more toys here, and I really like these ones.
Big event so far here for Aruni. We've been seeing constant repicks over towards her.
Oh, you mean Amaru?
Didn't I say Amaru?
You said Aruni.
Did I?
Yeah.
Man. Servers confirmed it. It's always those two. It's such a similar name.
Rooney. Maru. Zami.
The one with the grappling hook.
That's why I swear sometimes, you guys have probably noticed this as well at home. Sometimes when I forget her name in the moment, I'll just say.
I even like double.
I will straight up say Gara.
I even like double confirmed it in my head before I said it, and somehow it still came out wrong. Like I was like, yeah, it's definitely this one, right? And apparently not. So.
But I do agree with you. She has been used quite a lot, and in interesting fashion. Sometimes to no avail. She'll just die instantaneously on the entry, but sometimes she doesn't burn up. Sometimes she does some crazy things like kicking people in the face and killing them instantaneously, which happened yesterday for the very first time that I've ever seen in my life. So that was pretty crazy.
Not to mention just the wild card effect of the operator is always a treat to watch for casters. So personal favorite of mine whenever we get that swap in. Hopefully continues to be a trend here throughout the rest of it.
Say her name, John. Say it.
Now I'm scared to, for fear of being wrong. We are seeing them start to make some progress, enter into the building here. Ray is going to try to resist that here over by Ego Door. No major activity going on in this area, just as of, we had a few players from Team Liquid poking it a second ago, but it looks like they have started to move away. Resets is going to be able to lock in that first kill, though, finding Pekin and taking him down.
Very well done. Mute Mozzie combo will still be alive and well, though, as those pests will reside around the map. Doesn't seem like it's been too big of an issue for Liquid, though, as minute and 10 seconds are breaking open the side of Dining. Don't see very many angles for Direwolves to work that are going through the floor up top, so it's going to be more of the horizontal gameplay. Just trying to hold down this top floor, but this also makes it to where Liquid can kind of just harass this.
Nice.
Ask with a beautiful read here. That drone hole been the bane of everyone's existence in Trophy for, well, since I don't know when, let me tell you. Racy can rotate back through. He has to hold on to this top floor. Massive component to this position here. Alu is going to take down Jackie Wu, and Nesk opens up the door. Harambe, the last remaining soul, and he knows exactly where he is. Pistol out. Oh, and he's running. He's hiding. I don't think that Nesk saw him in the corner of his vision. The aspect ratio not in Nesk's favor, but it doesn't matter. Team Liquid will sweep them away with the tide.
Gets away with one before going down, but ultimately, again, just a passing fad inside of that round there. No real chance to get away with the clutch, unfortunately, even though he does go unnoticed for a second or two. Either way, a solid round picked up by Team Liquid. A good rebound for the second round loss, the recentering of their attacking prowess. Now back down into the basement for round number 4 to see if they can continue that lock in this attacker-sided advantage by guaranteeing at least a 3-3 at halftime. Or if we'll be on the seesaw here for a little bit, if Direwolves as well can trade that back yet again. Direwolves, unfortunately, just a little bit too predictable of a setup, and as well, very easy to breach open most of that setup for Team Liquid there, so they did not struggle much to find those entries, and really just a domino effect past that point to take control of the rest of the round here. Take a look and see what DW are going to bring out, specifically for their basement defense. Once again, nothing too crazy to remark on here. Pretty usual assortment of operators, mainly looking for the delay, both with regards to intel gathering as well as utility once we get closer down to the site with those Malusi Banshees, as well as the Toxic Babes coming out from Harambe.
Such an interesting matchup between these two, especially given the circumstances of what Group B has been looking like. Direwolves and Team Liquid at the exact same record, but here's the thing, Team Liquid actually has a worse round differential. By 1 round, but still, it is worse. It's -10 for Direwolves, -11 for Team Liquid. And funny enough, Wolves actually has a win under their belt, and they're -11 as well. So always pretty close quarters when it comes to these squads, but this is looking like potentially best chance for Direwolves to get around here. Honestly, John, I'm going to have you explain this one to me because I was looking at my notes.
I guess it was a pop out there from Souffle, had the barricade popped, and then obviously, again, we see a player from Team Liquid more than ready for the challenge. As Ask takes some heat from it, but definitely wins out the exchange and then chucks out the question mark in the chat as well there. Souffle just taking a battle that he unfortunately was not ready for, it seems, and ends up on the losing end of it.
Well, action there from Ask. Nice smackdown of Souffle. Very straightforward spawn peek from that position as well, but they've kind of died out over time with positions that you can pull off. No coconut bras here. There's still a couple around. Pecan, oh, ill-advised there. Nesk, so fantastic in that position. Just makes Pecan think that he's coming. Wastes the entire magazine. The MX4 Storm starts spraying wide, but Direwolves, they fire back quickly. The uppercut punch, the sucker punch, Liquid not exactly ready for that one, you could tell. Thought Direwolves were going to recoil, try and stay back on site. Definitely not the case.
I mean, who expects the triple down, right?
Exactly.
It's the problem
right?
there. The spawn peek, the second window peek, and then another aggressive swing. I think Ray started that one out there, and then Jackie Wu came in to assist as well. Really like a quadruple down, if you think about it, with Jackie Wu pushing as well, if we saw Ray end up going down with his peek. But ends up working out. Things turn for the better on Direwolves. It's a massive risk, but under this situation, it's at least paid off and brought them back into the round now, down to a 3v3.
Yeah, how common do you bluff, right? They can't do it a third time. Come on. Apparently they can.
They're happy with the outcome from those kills, of course. We've seen their players fall back, giving Team Liquid pretty much full map control outside of the site itself and taking it out of this final phase of the round. Considering the damage that's done to Ask as well from that earlier phase of the round when he got spawn peeked, things are looking all right for the Direwolves at this point, as long as they can maintain. Just have to be careful and make sure that the site setup is strong enough to last out the remaining 35 seconds here. Considering the Liquid have yet to set foot in the basement, I think they are in good territory with the way things are currently rolling.
And that's a Souffle effect. Move in from Liquid here. Lagonis going to be able to get the pickup on the bomb chassis. Palu able to maintain main stairs here. Only stuns available to Liquid, but it'll dislodge a couple of key members. Very nice shot from Lagonis on the entry for his own plant. Palu will wrap it up with a nice bow. And Liquid surge ahead on the offensive side.
Good recovery from Team Liquid. A valiant attempt once more from the players on Direwolves to try and make up the difference. As I said before, taking a very big risk by throwing out that aggression. But considering where they were already at in the round, down to a 3v5, you can't necessarily fault them for trying to play it out that way. Just once again, did not have a strong enough trade set up to position themselves back down into the base, but could not fend off that snowmobile push properly. And Team Liquid once again reverses it back into their own favor. Now with a definitive lead here at 3-1, already guaranteed a tie half, regardless of the outcome of the next 2 rounds here, and a possibility to push it ever further, all the way up to a 5-1, obviously, if things continue to go their way. Direwolves is going to call for the tactical, realizing that things are just not panning out here. It's usually when their opponents pick up that 3rd round that things tend to get a little bit dire, and you'll bring out that tactical break, so that this map is going to be no exception for the Direwolves roster.
Well, as for Team Liquid, getting a good look at the scoreboard here, at least for us, during this tactical break. Listen in here for some of our home audiences.
That is going to close things out, folks. We'll go back into the game now and take a peek at things here. As Team Liquid, once again, currently leading 3-1. Many of you are just joining us here. Maps number 2 and 3, you can see them over on the top right side of the screen. And for those who aren't good with picture association, I believe that's going to be Theme Park and Oregon for our next 2 maps.
It will be. It will be indeed.
That means I'm good with picture association.
Did you see that trend that was going around where it was like basically just pixel art and you have to figure out what the Disney character is?
No.
Oh, yeah. I
Not at all.
That's like Jackie a couple days ago when she was like, TikTok, guys? TikTok? No? They just stared at her. Oh, poor Jackie.
Never gonna see my phone.
I don't know how Jackie ended up as the Zoomer when she's the one that's older than both of them. I don't even understand that situation there. But either way, though, Team Liquid back into this one. And speaking of Team Liquid, Ask especially back into this one. Yesterday, not having the greatest of showcasings, John. Had a .62 up against Eminem. 12 and 23, -11 with a 8% survival rating. Not exactly the greatest day.
But at the same time, once again, Direwolves struggling in a very similar fashion in their own matchups here. Speaking of which, Harambe getting the pick against him, at least nearly, at the start of the round here. Pretty much instantly getting dropped down to about half of his HP. Believe that would be Palu responsible for that here, as we can see some corresponding damage onto him. As they take just a little battle here at this window. No one really winning it, though, as both end up backing away. Everything will go calm aside from that as Liquid resume their droning to try and figure out what the best first move is going to be. Harambe tries to deny their terror drone very close to the shot, but it is going to make it to its intended destination over here towards this deployable. Now it's definitely hearing that phone buzzing out in the distance here. Ready to take the fight. Doesn't have the headshot angle initially. Tries to go for the exchange. The problem is he's created a 2-way window for his opponent as well. Can't win it out. Resets. Will take down another member of the Direwolves squad. And Direwolves, however, will trade out not only Peacon's kill, but one on top of that one. So they're still in charge of this one. Down to a 4v3, but Peacon still in the hot seat here. Might be finding a way out of it, though. He's got a winning angle against this player from down below, but he also needs to try and find a way to escape this current position. An option which is currently not present for him here. So just has to hold on for dear life and hope he can waste out enough time with this distraction.
Yeah, he's already done his job. He really just needs to sit here. Prone, let them work this. If he can get this down to 45 seconds, potentially another kill, I mean, hey, either way, it works out for them, and that's all he was looking for. Just super, super unfortunate there. Nesk not really respecting the position of Peacon there, just trying to spam him down through the wall and constantly moving his way up towards the stairwell is what punished him because he doesn't have any cover at all. And while we saw what happened there for Peacon, he's constantly able to play that brick wall right to the left-hand side of the door frame. That's how things tend to work out in Siege. Even if you have that tiny little panel, as long as you can work around it, that's all you need.
Especially once the soft breach was created there, too. Then it was a guessing game. It was a 50-50 peak either way, so it made it even harder, in my opinion, to actually win that one out for the attacker.
Yeah, he knows exactly where Nesk is because of the audio cues, right? You can't be dead silent in Siege. It does not exist unless you are obviously Nook, so... A little unfortunate on that.
Little frost mat reflex there from Lagonis. Not taking any chances on that in this game.
I'd be panicked too, I'll be honest with you. And why not? I mean, Pekin is actually on frost. They knew that was in. Made the push in here from Liquid. Dying moments here. They got to get a plant down. Stuns up. Smokes up for resets. Nitro Cell underneath from Harambe, but do they know where the plant's going down? Oh, it's going to be a prediction. Lagonis might get this, but he has to kill two on two different angles. Impossible. Dire Wolves will be able to pick this one up. Get this one step closer to being a tied ball game.
Clean retake from the Dire Wolves, which to be fair was somewhat expected given the fact they already had the round down to a 3 versus 2, but gave that little bit of extra room over to Liquid, a false sense of security to some extent, as it really seemed like Dire Wolves had that pinch ready to execute at a moment's notice. As soon as that case is down on the ground, they slap those jaws shut and leave no room for the Liquid players to escape. First of their two players inside of that clutch situation there, not even making it out of the plant scenario. As we see the cross established by Ray as soon as he enters the piano room, and the planter is locked in the corner. So Liquid's advantage diminishes slightly here. A 4-2 is now the best case scenario as we move into round number 6.
Well, Liquid, more than likely still happy with the results as of now, even if they lose this round. Pretty exciting moving into a defender-sided map. So funny to say that about Chalet, by the way, but pretty happy about that, even if they do split it, right? So, especially with the way that things have been going on this map as of late. I'm going to check these things real quick once again here, just because yesterday was so different for Chalet. So let's see what's been up, shall we, John? Chalet, 7 plays. Let's defend it, or see what it is defender-wise towards the other maps. Oh my goodness gracious. Where do you think it is in the defensive win rate category, like position-wise?
I say like
1 through 9. 1 through 9.
It's like 3rd.
Nope. Higher.
Like closer to 1 or closer to 9?
It's first place.
Is it really?
It's first place.
Wow.
It's 63% defensive win rate.
That is a big differential too, as far as siege maps are concerned. I'm used to seeing like 56% being like the highest.
That's like
one of them.
That's as defensively won as like when Clubhouse got reworked and put back in. That is astronomical. And speaking of which, Pekin yet again the bane of Liquid at the moment. He finds Ask. Last time it was Ask with the question mark. This time Shoe on the other foot. And looks like they might actually be aware of what's going on with Jackie Wu here this time.
See if they can position him out. Liquid has been able to put a good foot forward when it comes to making up for these deficits. The 5v4 advantage for the Dire Wolves is not necessarily translated into any immediate success for this roster. The flash dump in, Jackie wants none of it. Souffle, he'll stick around for a little bit longer apparently, try to see if he can grab one player on the window entry. Phone call will go out though, more than likely give that intel over to the players on Liquid that he is playing into that position, right? With the messy spray here, can't lock in the kill, but the same is true for resets, as he's also brought down to a very, very low amount of HP. Both players will respectfully back away from each other. Potential for them to swap each other out as well, but Palu able to get the finisher off onto Pekin. Jackie Wu, though, with the cross, finds resets on the way into office. So the advantage stays under the control of the defenders, however slightly that may be when you consider Racey's health.
Oh, Liquid, a little spread thin right now. And they're going to be punished because of it. 3 different entry points, 2 different deaths. Nesco get one under his belt, but how far does this go? Fantastic position for the one Dire Wolves player directly to his left. Souffle, won't be able to get the fade away. It was looking for the Kobe.
Just playing it safe, can't really fault him for that inside of the 3v1. Definitely don't want to try and flex too much inside of this situation, both considering the overall position that both of these teams are in the tournament, and just still the clutch capability that could come out from a legacy player like Nesk here inside of a 1v3. Certainly still winnable for a player of his caliber, but it is going to be tough when you consider these angles. There's the first one. Immediately, though, the trade does come in on the opposite side of his view. Harambe picks up the final kill, and the Dire Wolves indeed bring it back from the brink to tie it up at 3-3. Now switching sides.
No Oregon basements here today, Nesk. 3-3. It's going to be the half. Team Liquid will be now on the defensive end. Some nice shots here from Nesk. Just proving his worth once again. Guy's been playing this game for 7 years, everybody. Still as lethal as ever. And Palu, still one of the best in the business. This tournament just really has not been theirs. Looking to right that here today. Hopefully still be able to make playoffs, but definitely not in the position to ask for too much, are they?
Certainly not the case. Both these teams just looking to really survive here today and take their first correct step forward inside of the tournament. Both teams with an 0-2 record so far. Those are their previous games played out here. 2 series that they get that score as well, so just not able to put the right foot forward so far in this tournament. As a result, it has put them, as we already mentioned earlier on, and I believe the Des brought it up as well, pretty much right at the precipice of elimination here. If either one is not able to come out on top of this matchup. Few repicks showing up there, the Ash apparently not suiting the Direwolves for this clear, so they're going to put that back over onto Iana. Fulfilling very much the same role, just a little bit less hard breach, a little more intel play. The Lion also going to be swapped in here for Jackie Wu now to increase that intel gain even more.
Deploying welcome mat.
Solid defensive setup here for Liquid. Love the operator lineup here from Direwolves as well. Really trying to influence the info game here. Especially, as you said, the extra drones on Twitch is going to help with that as well, even past what Jackie Wu has at his disposal. No capitalization off of the initial EE1D, but they're looking to try and back that up with the drone information. See if they can clear some things out. They do have to worry about Palu downstairs, interestingly enough, as he is on the Wamine. You can see he's got 2 discs in pocket, so that's why I'm a little quizzical, but it doesn't really matter if he just kills everybody, right? So, Twitch drone out. See if Pekin chooses to go downstairs. Looks like the drone matrix mostly focused on the mid floors he flips through, but oh, you saw those 2 little sneaky ones downstairs. One for Blue as well as one for Snowmobile there. That could end up finding Palu. You can see him switching back and forth on those. They're on the electrical box there, right inside the blue hallway.
See, Direwolves taking a much different flair to their attack than we saw from Team Liquid. Much slower wind-up here. Much greater emphasis on the drone game here, using pretty much half the round before we see really any opening action come out from them. Second EE1D charge coming out here also. They do have control, I believe at least, of the library area, so should be able to move in there without too much of a problem. Nest gonna read into the fact that is the drone from the Iana pretty quickly when it comes dashing through piano, so just trying to deny the intel by taking it out. I'll still, of course, maintain the position up on top of the piano itself. And now we are coming down to that final minute or so. Lagonis feels confident to start chucking out the Toxic Babes and putting in the real delay here, as Peacock will try to work a position from down below, entering in through the trophy window. Scratch that. He's going to go up Repel instead. Either way, though, with the intended goal of trying to put some heat onto that Solarium position.
Utility abound. Nobody dead yet. A lot of utility. Nesk looking for some influence here inside of the piano position. Jackie Wu onto the Repel. Direwolves not wanting to make a misstep here.
Problem is, it's creating a lot of inactivity across the map right now and wasting out a lot of time. They seem to have every bit of intel they need. They just don't have the confidence to go for the execute yet, and we're seeing the results of that unfold before our eyes here. Pecan and one other member of Direwolves have been able to find out trades, but aside from that, it's a Team Liquid advantage situation. Pecan, though, once again, maybe the savior here. Gonna have to go for the ace to clutch it back out. No case control either, so a very awkward situation for him. Runs directly into Palu's angle as well, so Liquid will seal the deal off of that.
Very difficult there for Direwolves. Just very slow rolling and grounding to a halt.
It's way too telegraphed by the time they actually went for the...
Exactly. They ground to a halt at a time where they really needed to get on the gas, because, as you said, everything was telestrated. It was right in the face of Team Liquid as to what was going to happen, minus the hop-in trophy downstairs. They knew where everybody's movement was mostly headed towards, and were able to pick it apart all because of that. So, I mean, well done from Liquid to provide enough obstacles to make it to where Direwolves didn't exactly want to go for something aggressive in those dying moments. They were really looking for Liquid to try and find some more aggressive positioning, see if they would take any swings and give over some bodies, but clearly not.
Hopefully they've learned their lesson from that. We're going to see a little bit more of an active push from Direwolves this time, like Stokeson mentioned, and I agreed with there. We saw Direwolves take up positions outside of the site execute relatively quickly, but then never really able to find that entry they needed to work their way in. Tried to change things up in the last minute by having Pecan work his way in from down below. Well, yes, he had relative success. The rest of the team, just due to a lack of time, was forced to go in anyway. Unfortunately, their inactivity outside of the site telegraphed all of their pushes to Team Liquid, allowing them to get into position and be more than prepared for the counter when the push actually came through. So Direwolves just need to be a little bit more definitive with that play here on the following rounds, especially if Liquid is going to set up in similar fashion. We're downstairs here now, at least on the first floor. So playing going to go for the cheeky little claymore here, see if that will get anyone through the drone hole. You can see there is a line that goes through, and yes, the explosion will make it through that drone hole. So Liquid do have to be careful crossing through it. Resets, I think, could very well become the victim if he does not catch this, but I'm assuming he sees that the big red beam on the ground and has called it out to his teammates.
Direwolves once again, pretty slow movement across the map. Logic bomb out, might be a sign of the times. Yet again, just nothing coming. Trying to bait in Team Liquid here. Looking to give him some space. Liquid just trying to have some influence over these positionings from Direwolves. They at least get the shots on to Ask down low, but I mean, they're just not trying to get aggressive on these angles that they know exist. That logic bomb is practically going to be wasted.
They're being like very smart about this one, Liquid is, in my opinion, too, because they're not entirely playing it passively. Big jump out there, but Ask already far too low, so it's an easy trade for Jackie before he makes it back to the window. You can see, though, back to my point, members of Liquid are not like full committing to these window fights. Okay, never mind, they are now. Palu goes for the big swing here, knocks out Ray C. May very well take another exchange against Jackie and the rest of the team, but Harambe picks up the next one here. Lagonis to immediately refire back. However, he's not ready for the jump in from Jackie. Down into a 2v2 now, as it's full chaos for both squads here, trying to solidify another round for either team.
Unfortunate for both of these squads in different ways. Love the aggressive play there from Ask. Already so low on HP, might as well risk it for the biscuit. Gets a big pickup, but now down into the 2 versus 2. Direwolves, we've seen them slow up before, but as long as the coordination's here, might have the play. They still got a logic bomb for Jackie Will. Would love to see them do something with this. More aggressive fashion than what we have been seeing. Nesk, we saw him get punished from a position very similar to this earlier on their offensive side. See if he can make Direwolves envious of what he's able to accomplish. Potentially 2 in the same position if they play this out incorrectly. Logic bomb out. Hear the phone calls, but is it going to be the proper info? Perfect here for Pekin. Has to know that one's behind that. Big pickup here for Nesk. Impossible to read it. Knew it was coming from Library, but even for Pekin, impossible. Trying to use the spatial awareness there, trying to use the audio to his advantage, but cannot find where the ghost audio is coming from. Liquid able to get the big kills there. Pick up 2-round advantage over the Direwolves.
Nicely done from Team Liquid, getting themselves back into a commanding position here as far as this half is concerned, constantly making the Direwolves second-guess themselves with these aggressive swings here inside of that mid-round play. And then eventually, of course, just recentering back into a solid defensive setup for the final 2v2 closeout there. Beautifully done by Team Liquid, and even in the early round there, too. The point I was initially trying to make before things went really crazy is Liquid was sitting like right at the precipice of a lot of those window peaks that Direwolves are trying to go for, but they wouldn't actually peek into it. So Direwolves would get like a glimpse of someone or two, and then they would sit around for the like 20 seconds or so, like waiting, like, okay, he's gonna peek it next time. He's definitely gonna go for it in a second. And well, that ended up ultimately being true. I think Liquid had in their back pocket the capability to just like, nah, we're just gonna back away and basically just waste out like a minute and a half of Direwolves' time if the need should have arisen for that to happen.
But John, that's Liquid. That's what they do.
Well, that's the problem is Direwolves still got baited into it, basically.
True, very true. But
well, yeah, because things got too crazy, they did trade it out ultimately, but if Liquid had a little bit more composure, that very quickly could have thrown in like a 5v3 or a 5v2.
Yeah, hilariously enough, Liquid is one of our methodical Brazilian squads. So, but yeah, it works out, and they do, and they always have done a fantastic job of playing around the timer. And if Direwolves is just going to sit on some windows and waste half the clock themselves, with Liquid not having to raise a finger, minus being like, hey, I'm kind of in this position.
It's basically like make them think you're there without actually
exactly. Like, why am I going to do any of the heavy lifting on the round?
So we are going to see an early toxic bait come out from the smoke on Liquid, as of course they move into a defensive hold now. Really Selma too, to try and open up the main wine wall here. Lagonis will still have a position to play over on the back tunnels here. Side hall going over towards Trench Door, and he'll try to fend off some of this early aggression we're getting from DW.
Did you see Mr. Jackie Wu over here has sense?
I did not.
That could be some fun. We don't have the glass here that we did for the last strategy. Can't remember what team that was. Tried it out once. Don't think it was the Sonics, but it doesn't really matter. It was earlier in the tournament, and it failed terribly. Mostly because of frag grenades, and also you'd probably require one of those in order to work that out. But yeah, the frag grenades from the glass in the previous iteration ended up breaking up the light screen, which made it impossible past the smoke play that ended up picking off the planter. But Jackie was going to go down, so no more light screens, no more sense. They are dead and gone. Pekin moving his way up. Ask Oh man, torrential downpour coming in from Direwolves. Palu able to pick up one. Ooh, Ask almost able to get that MPX up. Little scary there, but fortunately enough, an easy body shot for the 417.
I see that for Pekin. Liquid still in control of this situation, even with that trade though, but a little bit less so here into the 4v3 now. Liquid goes very quiet because of that trade though. They need to figure out where exactly Pekin is going to be trying to work this push towards. Thankfully, all that fragging happening up against the top rope, so it's not going to affect the overall site setup all that much. You still have this bit of an extension deployed by Palu over on first floor bar also. Ray C continuing to patiently wait for a peek, but this goes back to what we were just talking about at the beginning of the round here. Liquid, if they're playing it smart, they're not going to peek into that unless they think they have a chance to win the duel. So, not going to lead into a whole lot here. Thankfully, he's just propositioning himself for when his teammates are able to join him. The Nate in the correct spot to take down Nesk. It'll destroy his deployable here. He'll be forced to fall back. Tries to go for the reswing, but Ray is ready for it. Takes him down instead, and now evens the numbers out.
30 seconds remaining. And this is the time for Direwolves. They do not want to allow 3 rounds here from Team Liquid. 3 rounds in a row, especially. They'll be able to get wine open. Palu with a big kill, but Ray C will immediately refrag. You know, Palu will be on the rotation here. They quickly have to dispatch or get this plant down. Palu moving in on the flank. Where is the overwatch here? Where is the oversight? Harambe baits in one. Lagonis, does he have any more smokes in his pocket? 0, but he does have a shotgun. Pressures, gets one, gets the second. Lagonis clutches it up. The M590 sends him straight to hell.
Massive confidence play from Lagonis to know he'd be able to get that first kill before the plant went down and then get the 180-degree transition onto his other opponent as well. Beautifully played out there, and great composure for Liquid to never lose their edge here, never overplay their hand yet again to make sure they come out on top of that one. 6-3 is now the scoreline. We're on map point for Team Liquid.
Sometimes you just have to take your big shotgun and put it on the table, and it works out. You just got to believe. Just have to believe. That's what Poge has always said about the M590. It's not a gun that has a proper damage model, John. It's a gun that you have to believe in. And when you do, magic happens.
Show them your
see it again for we see it again here for Liquid as 3 rounds in a row on the defensive end. Really giving it to Chalet. This defensive win rate is going to be ridiculous. It might be at like 70% by the end of the tournament, which I've never seen that before in the history of Rainbow Six Siege, and I've played this game since beta. So that's a long time.
That's some pretty drastic swings in the attacker/defender-sided meta debate here over the past year or so. With attacker repick being added into it, things started to swing pretty heavily towards the attackers, and now slowly but surely over the next 12 months, it seems like things have moved the needle back in the other direction. And for this event so far,
yeah, I was going to say, this one's been a pretty quick pendulum.
Very heavily lean. Stokes has mentioned here with the stats so far toward the defending side. Let's get into it though and see if Liquid can keep that composure that we've been seeing over the past few rounds alive to secure round number 7 and give us a definitive map 1 scoreline at a potential 7-3.
Team Liquid looking to take things here on the defensive end. So crazy. This map started at a 30% defensive win rate when it came out, quickly moving into the 40s. Then this tournament alone, shooting it up into the 60s. You can see how many teams practicing their defensive setups on this map, and that's really what's made it so perplexing to squads, is that these are not very similar looks to what they're used to playing around. And it's made it obviously difficult for so many offensive units. It's happening here yet again for Direwolves. Have the singular hard breach in. It's going to be Harambe. Palu will be playing around blue. About a minute in here, but not too much action, minus some drones getting shot down. Still going to have access to 8 of those things, so still plenty of info to be had. No Yana in the mix, though, but they do have the EE1Ds of Lion to try and lock up the positions of Liquid. Able to at least get some breach here, and that's going to be our opening minute and a half.
Both of the stair plays from Liquid have been revealed as well, but Palu is going to take it one step further here. Goes all the way down to the bottom of blue. Like I said before, Dyro was already aware of the fact that he was playing blues. This is probably something they considered, and indeed they sent a drone over towards main stairs to reconfirm that he did go for that rotation. Not going to be caught up by that great intel game so far from the Direwolves, but as has often been the story, that does not necessarily lead into a great site execute here. They've had no problem building up the intel base, as we've seen really just all the way back from round number 1 of this half, but it's that hesitance to execute that has oftentimes led to a loss for the Direwolves. They have to make sure the same thing does not trip them up here. Resets ready for a move, but has no one really sitting on the outside to line it up with. Ask is going to strike first here eventually, catching the sledge, knocking out Ray.
He's just waiting for the drop onto the balcony. Yep, and there it is. Almost gets the transfer. Direwolves and Liquid, some way, somehow, always able to stay dead even going into the last 30 seconds.
It's a rough call there, too. If that was just a default that we saw get shot out there a few seconds ago, big miss from Direwolves to leave that there and create this chaotic situation. Obviously, props to them for keeping it together, but this whole situation potentially could have been avoided if that's what prompted it from Liquid. Ness with the spray. It's dirty, though. He's not able to get it, but the Nitro follow-up does. Drops the case down to the ground as well. Pecan going down next, leaving only Souffle in the fight. Recovered the case. His opponents will be aware of that. The GH is already out. Liquid shuts it down, and map 1 is theirs at a 7-3 scoreline.
Chalet, the difference maker for a lot of teams here at the 6 Invitational, and it does it for Liquid. We're going to toss y'all to a quick break. We'll be back with map 2.